News Radio 700 WLW.
Well, overnight it seems that all of the Haitian nationals, the immigrants that were down under that bridge in Del Rio, disappeared. They were all gone. Sunday, nearly 15,000 immigrants, mostly from Haiti, had converged under the bridge in Del Rio, Texas, after crossing the border from Mexico. Now, some were taken back to Haiti. About 8,000 returned to Mexico voluntarily. This is according to the DHC, the Department of Homeland Security. And then others will go through something called a removal proceeding. But it was startling. You go to bed last night, and there were a significant number of these people that wanted to get into our country waiting there under the bridge in Del Rio. And today they're all gone. Where did they go? And what was that all about down there over the course of the last 7 to 10 days? Standing by is somebody who has been watching this very, very closely. He is Naeem Haroun Sakia, a seasoned attorney at law with extensive trial experience practicing in various U.S. federal district courts and circuit courts of appeal across the United States of America. And he joins us here now to talk about this on 700 WLW. And Naeem, how are you on this glorious day?
I'm very well. How about yourself?
I'm a little confused. Where did these thousands of Haitian immigrants go seemingly overnight? What happened to them?
Yeah, so this was a very extraordinary feat by any measure. What had happened is last weekend we heard that about 15,000 were assembled under the bridge. And then for that, about 10 days before that, there were only 100. So over about 8 days period of time, they mushroomed from 400 to 15,000. On Sunday, about 3,000, and now this is based on the claims we have heard from the administration and the Department of Homeland Security, about 3,000 moved back from the United States to Haiti. Some were pushed back because of the Title 42 authority, where the immigration officials can return people who appear to have some kind of communicable disease, in this case specifically COVID-19, where they have not been tested, but it is suspected that they may have gone through areas where this pandemic is prevalent. So under that authority, they were expelled back. And then people who were with minor children, women who were pregnant, they were allowed in. Exact number has not been released, but it is a significant number. They have been allowed in, but they have been put into what they call expedited removal proceedings. It is different from the normal asylum process. In the expedited proceedings, first of all, they are made to wear anklets. So they are monitored remotely as far as their whereabouts are concerned. Secondly, they are given notices to appear in the immigration court on an expedited basis. And the immigration officials and the courts have the authority to make a decision sometimes within hours. And the decisions are rendered whether they have any credible fear of asylum or not. So those are the individuals who have been allowed in based on the family composition when they try to come in, again, as people with minor children or pregnant women, but they have been put in expedited removal proceedings. So let's hope that
it seems to me that once this became very much of a public issue, in other words, once several cable outlets, most notably Fox, began televising this, everybody got real concerned, it seemed like, in terms of the optics of this, that it just didn't look good. Number one, you've got a lot of people that are huddled under a bridge in a very small town, border town in Texas. That didn't look good. I mean, nobody seemed to know how these people got here. Haiti is an island, so they had to get here through some way with some sort of financial assistance. I mean, it can't, unless there was a giant cruise liner that brought a lot of them back into South America and then up here. But it seems to me that it's when the optics went bad on this for the administration, that's when all of this was put into place, where just get them out from underneath the bridge and get them somewhere. And that's why I ask, you told us the process of what they went through, but where did they go? Where did the people that are staying here that had the ankle bracelets on and that had documents to appear in court, the women, the pregnant women, the children, where physically did they go? Do you have any idea from last night to where they are right now?
Yeah, so what we are hearing is some of them are still in Texas, some have gone to Miami, or at least they're en route to Miami, some as far as New York, because a lot of them are being forwarded to places where they may have some kind of family support, some family friends, or somebody who may be willing to take care of them so that they are not a burden on the U.S. government. Hopefully, when they appear in those courts, they will get a decision based on the law, and they will be forced to comply with those orders if that is the plan from the administration. Again, I have to say this is something which is work in progress, and a lot of time these things do not turn out to be the way they're intended to.
There is a narrative that's out there, and I don't know. I'm not an immigration attorney. I didn't immigrate to this country. I was born here, but there is a narrative that's out there that you could put an ankle bracelet on somebody, give them a piece of paper, and say to show up in court. And a lot of people that come into this country illegally, they just disappear in the country, never to be seen again. How do you view that narrative? Is that a strong narrative in your opinion? Does that really happen a lot, or is that something that's just overplayed?
Well, if there are no electronic devices put on somebody's ankles, then there's a tendency for them to disappear. But if they are being monitored the way we are told they are going to be monitored, then even if they don't show up at the court, then obviously the immigration officials can show up on their doors and do their duty. So let's see how it plays out. But obviously the media and the optics and all that definitely keeps everything in check, and I think that will continue to happen.
Well, there apparently is another caravan on its way. More people from Haiti that want to get into this country. This could develop, could it not, into like just a wave, one wave following another wave following another wave. And if people had heard back home, hey, all you got to do is show up. You might have to, stay under a bridge for a week, but they'll let you into the country. This is something that it seems like that the Biden administration needs to get a better handle on, does it not?
Absolutely, and I think what we are hearing right now is they have been asking Mexico to break these caravans, to even stop them from reaching on the U.S. border. What we are hearing, and Yahoo News is reporting, yesterday, that intelligence reports are suggesting that they might be taking the route through the sea. There might be boats coming in. So the good thing is there is intelligence out there which has been shared even publicly, and hopefully that this kind of attempt will be thwarted right at the beginning so that we don't have to deal with this kind of crisis in such a sudden manner.
But it seems like, Mr. Saki, it seems like there was plenty in place under the Trump administration to prevent what has happened here in the last 9 months. If Biden just left everything in place, would this not have happened?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there is a realization in the current administration that those policies, the way they were pronounced to have been abandoned, has only encouraged people to take this journey. And even though the current administration is not labeling it as such, they are essentially going back to the same policies, which is keeping migrants on the Mexican side of the border, and then also seeking cooperation from Mexican authorities to not let these people cross the Mexican land. I mean, one has to understand that in order for them to reach to the U.S. border, they have to cross through the entire country of Mexico. Mm-hmm. So if Mexican government was on board stopping these caravans, then obviously this problem can be avoided right at the beginning.
We're chatting with Naeem Haroon Sakia. He is a seasoned attorney at law on all things U.S. citizenship and immigration services, and he has operated under the umbrella of the United States Department of Homeland Security for a while here. Mr. Sakia, we saw the pictures of the Border Patrol on horses, and there are a lot of people in the news, and of course a lot of the Democrats are running around yelling and screaming that these Border Patrol agents were whipping these Haitian immigrants trying to cross the river and get into the United States. The Border Patrol agents say, well, wait a minute, this is how we control horses. Anybody that's familiar with any kind of equestrian events, let alone what has to be done on horseback for police work, this is just a way to control the horse. We don't wear spurs. We use these reins. And I'm just interested, as a person, as much as what your resume says, where do you come down on that? Because I haven't really figured it out yet, because I don't ride horses. Well, what did you see there? What did you see?
Yeah, so law enforcement is a difficult job regardless. And in these trying circumstances where you have a sudden influx of so many people, given the explanation Department of Homeland Security has given, I think this kind of sentimental response might be slightly misplaced, and I'm sure that the cooler heads will prevail, and we would be able to see that the images, I mean, as it is said, an image is worth 1,000 words, but what happens if all those words are wrong? Mm-hmm. Then you are looking at everything in an improper manner.
Yeah, well, Biden's already convicted them. Naeem, Biden's already convicted these guys. He's already said they're going to pay. We're going to find out who they are, and they're going to pay. I mean, to me, I think, and you know, you're somebody that is got a foot in politics as well as a foot in law. It just seems to me that the narrative on this for the Biden administration has been really poor. The optics have been poor. He's had tremendous problems with Afghanistan. He can't get his arms around COVID. Inflation is going through the roof. And so he's trying to grasp onto something, a narrative that he can get people focused on other than these myriad of other problems that he and his administration have created since January. And I think he's latched on to these Border Patrol agents. And, you know, again, I don't ride horses. I don't know what you use reins for. I don't know what they were doing. But it just seems like this is a giant distraction tactic. Does it seem that way to you?
Absolutely, and I think people are intelligent enough to see through all of this. I think the officers and the Border Patrol has given a very reasonable explanation for that, whatever was being presented or depicted in the pictures. So people have their own wise judgment to assess these situations. And from what we have seen so far, this kind of outrage has been very limited. What we have seen so far is that people understand how tough that job is, and these pictures usually are, I mean, they may have presented to project a certain point of view, but there is a counter narrative as well, and people are paying attention to that.
Yeah, I would hope. I just hope we figure out a way, and I'm sure you do too, and this is pie in the sky, and it sounds a little Pollyannish, but I just wish we could figure out a way to handle immigration a lot quicker, a lot more in a legal sense, and not have it so haphazard and people trying to get in here, people trying to get in there. There's no, as you well know, if someone wants to legally immigrate to this country, it's an arduous process. It might not always work out, and you wait sometimes years to get in. The people that do it the right way, I think, are paying a little bit of the price here for people that aren't doing it the right way. But I think at the root of it all is a country that hasn't figured out how to handle immigration for decades. I think we really need to put the politics aside and approach this thing rationally, but I don't think we have the wherewithal to do that in Washington, D.C. Do you?
Yeah, that has been a problem for a long time. As soon as you utter the word immigration, the emotions flare up. And we really have to look into this whole issue in a cold-hearted manner. Sorry to speak this way, but the emotions take over your judgment, then you really cannot assess a problem the way it needs to be assessed, and especially a problem as sensitive as immigration and border control. So my feeling is that when the message goes out that the border is open, whether it was a message intended or not, the way it is heard, that creates an issue. So first of all, the messaging has to be very clear and consistent. It cannot be last year this and this year that. It really does not work. It does not help our national interest when it is relayed in such a manner.
Right.
And then secondly, the immigration reforms, whatever shape and form they may have to take, that there should be progress on this. I agree with you that when these kind of episodes happen, the focus immediately shifts on the fiasco rather than the cold reality, which has to be dealt with in a legal manner in the chambers, both chambers. And everybody just start screaming about these pictures and these images and the instant problem which has to be tackled. And these individuals who create these problems basically are doing a disservice to the immigration system in the long run. This has to be handled, and it's way past time.
Yeah. So well put. So well put. Naeem Haroon Sakia, thank you so much for your time today. Stay well, okay? I mean, you're the kind of people we need that handling this kind of thing. There should be more people that think as logically as you do. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.